Yo, what is going on, you guys? It's your boy King Sanders here. We are back with another day of sports betting. This is going to be for Monday, April 17th slate of NBA playoff basketball. We actually have two games on the slate, and they're pretty good ones. We got the Golden State Warriors versus the Sacramento Kings. So far has been one of the better series in the playoffs, and then we do have one that not quite as much. The Philadelphia 76ers versus the Brooklyn Nets. But hey, anything can happen in the playoffs. Anything can change, and that's what we're here for. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive into it. Before we did just want to go ahead and say that we are still currently on the road to 13,000 subscribers. So if you guys are new, make sure that you guys do go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, turn on that notification bell so you guys know whenever I post. Next, I just want to go ahead and give a quick shout out here to all of our members here on the channel. Thank you guys so much for everything that you guys do, and thank you guys so much for giving such a small channel such a big chance, as I always say. It truly does mean the absolute world to me, so much more than you guys will ever know. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive into a quick recap as of yesterday. Unfortunately, not the greatest day. We did end up going 1-2 on our official plays, as you guys can see up in the top right. One of them really wasn't our fault, though, and the other one we lost just barely. So let's go ahead and talk about it. So we did have our one win. We had Kawhi Leonard over 38.5 PRAs versus the Phoenix Suns. This was free. He almost hit this over in points alone. So he absolutely destroyed the Suns in pretty much every form and fashion, and they ended up actually winning the game outright. So that one was pretty free. Then we did end up having Giannis over 11.5 rebounds. As I'm sure every single one of you guys have already seen, Giannis did end up getting a back contusion during the game. Ends up coming out after just shortly after the first quarter. So, it was definitely a tough one. Doesn't play the rest of the game, so that was kind of a tough loss. Definitely nothing that we could have done there. Then we had our official loss that was super close. We had Dillon Brooks under 13.5 points versus the Lakers at minus 125 odds. I had made a joke tweet about how I love taking Dillon Brooks' unders, and it was just because I knew that something like this was going to happen. I knew that him starting out so bad in that game, 5 points, 1 for 7 going into the fourth quarter, I knew somehow he was going to be able to pull it off. It's just the way that Dillon Brooks unfortunately works. But he ends up hitting a 3. I think there was about 2 minutes left in the game, and with Ja getting injured as well, Dillon Brooks kind of had to take a couple more shots as well, so it was definitely a unfortunate situation, and we ended up losing because of it. They left him wide open for one of those shots, and he just knocked it down. But it is what it is. We ended up going 1-2 on our official plays. Unfortunately, nothing we can help with the honest thing. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive into today's plays. For our first official play of the day, we are taking Tobias Harris over 13.5 points here versus the Brooklyn Nets at minus 125 odds. Now, the main reason that I do like this one is because, let's be honest, Joel Embiid is going to be getting a ton of defensive focus on this team, whether it's with Claxton, whether it's with Cam Johnson, whether it's with Dorian Finney-Smith, whoever they decide to throw out there to try to help guard Joel Embiid. He's going to see a lot of double teams. That is going to lead to a lot of kick-out opportunities and a lot of open shots for a guy like Tobias Harris. I love the spot here for him. And not to mention, Tobias Harris last game, we saw a similar situation. He shot the ball 14 times, which is something that he doesn't normally do. He normally sees single-digit shots, definitely not double-digit shots, but he saw 14 in that game, and he ended up hitting this over very, very easily. Also, Tobias Harris does have a pretty good track record here against the Brooklyn Nets. He has gone over in 3 out of his last 4 games, not even counting that playoff game. So with that being said, he technically has gone over in 4 out of his last 5. He has a pretty good track record against them, and I think that we see a similar situation here once again. And he's actually a pretty good playoff performer as well. He's actually hit this over in 10 out of his last 13 playoff games. So I know that the teams have been different. The teams have switched. The roles have definitely been different. But Tobias Harris really has done a good job of showing up in the playoffs, and I think that we see a similar situation here. So that is going to be our first official play of the day. Tobias Harris over 13.5 points here versus Brooklyn at minus 125 odds. Now for our second and final play of the day, we are taking Domantas Sabonis over 32.5 points plus rebounds here versus the Golden State Warriors at minus 110 odds. Now, I like this one. I know that we're going back to the well. I know that he hurt us super bad last game, especially after such a great first half. He had 19 points plus rebounds going into halftime. But we got to get our coin back, and I think that this is going to be a spot that we can do it. As I had mentioned, this is pretty much going to be a copy and paste, but as of last game, he shot the ball. He shot 5 for 17. 5 for 17. If he shoots anywhere close to 50%, he crushes this over. crushes. You're telling me, like, if he makes 8 of these shots instead of just the 5, we hit the over. It was just definitely a very unfortunate situation where it's about Domantas Sabonis started off really good and then slowed down. I think that we see him stay hot from the very beginning all the way through. But just in case you guys do want to hear some of the stats, he has had 48, 33, and 33 this year versus Golden State Warriors. So he has hit the over in three games versus them, besides for the last game in the playoffs. And Golden State Warriors do allow the 8th most points per game to opposing centers, the 11th most rebounds per game to opposing centers, so they've been very bad to that position. They've given up a lot of points and a lot of rebounds to that position. Not to mention, Golden State Warriors are one of the worst road defenses in all of basketball. They allow the 2nd most points per game on the road to opposing teams. So they give up a ton of points, and the over-under shows. This is going to be 2 very fast-paced teams. The over-under is set to 240 in a playoff basketball game. Somebody's got to start scoring those points, and I know that De'Aaron Fox had a tremendous game last game, but I think this is going to be a game where Sabonis is going to be actually knocking down some of those shots. So I love the spot here. Golden State Warriors are also the fastest-paced team in all of basketball, and the Kings are not very far behind them. So with that being said, we got 2 very fast-paced offenses versus a Golden State defense that is so much better at home. I love the spot here, and he is definitely not going to shoot 5 for 17 again. Hopefully it's a little bit better than 5 for 17, and we can be able to hit this over pretty easily. So that is going to be our second and final play of the day. Domantas Sabonis over 32.5 points plus rebounds here versus the Warriors at minus 110 odds. So that is going to do it for today's video. If you guys did enjoy, make sure you guys do like, comment, subscribe, turn on that notification bell so you guys know whenever I post. Like I said, we are still on the road to 13,000 subscribers, and I can't get there without your guys' help. So make sure that you guys are subbed. But that's going to do it for me. This is King Sanger signing out. Peace.